Now we're going to hit Mr. Bobby Pitton on, he's on Zoom, if he's still there. He's been waiting a long time. Do you have Bobby Pitton?
Yeah, this hasn't unmuted.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So I don't know if my camera's working. I think that's on your end. If you want to put your camera on, that's fine. But I can just talk. But I can't touch.
I think it's on your side.
Are you sure? The host asked.
That's
Yeah.
what we're.
Okay. There we go.
Okay.
Sounds good. Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. I've got some really interesting news to report, and I'm grateful for the senator.
Tell us a little
asking.
bit about yourself and then what you're going to tell us. And we have limited time, so we'll need for you to get to the essence of it, Mr. Pitt.
Absolutely. My name is Bobby Piton. I'm from the suburbs of Chicago, Illinois. I have a background in finance, economics. I have my MBA from Northwestern School, Kellogg and Strategy, and I'm working on my financial engineering degree just as a side thing. I love math. I've traded billions of shares of stock over my career, and I love reverse engineering, how systems work in a nutshell. And so let's just jump right into it, if you don't mind, since, like you said, we're out of time. We're going to run out of time. So I went through, basically what I did is I went through Fulton County, and I looked at 6 other surrounding counties. So the 6 counties that I looked at, in addition to Fulton, were Cherokee, Clayton, Cobb, Fayette, Forsyth, and Gwinnett. Now, they might not be exactly around it, but I wanted to just get a little bit of a sample of some counties that would be next to Fulton. And starting with the Fulton results, I thought it was fascinating that of all the people in Fulton in my data set, there's about 66,636 unique first names. There's 66,636 first names. Of those names, 46,796 only have only one instance of that first name. Now, on the last names, there's 105,558 last names, but 46,000 have only one instance. So 70% of all the names that are available for people in Fulton are unique. They have one instance of that first name, and 43% of the last names. Now, why is this significant, and why should every American be able to understand this concept? Nationwide, there's about 150,000 last names that account for about 90% of the U.S. population. 150,000 total last names are 90% of the country. So there's about one last name for every there's about 2,000 people for every one of those most popular last names on average. Now, the ratio of first names to last names is about 30 to 1, 33 to 1 or so. So there's about 5,200 names that 90% of the people that you will come across in your life share. They're going to be one of those 5,200 names based on the statistics. I'm looking to get the whole data set for the country. I'd love to run a more accurate number, but this is just what I pulled off online. So you can see that right out of the gate, you have only 60,000 unique last names in Fulton with 20,000 first names. It's 3 to 1 ratio versus 33 to 1. So it's a really, really big problem. So now I just wanted to make sure, is this a fluke? Is this possible? Maybe the surrounding counties will account for some of this. Maybe there's a bunch of people, there's only one of that person in Fulton, but then they're going to be they have family in Cherokee, they have family in Cobb, they have family in somewhere else, right? So I decided to look at that. And what I found is, the number of unique first names jumps up, which is counterintuitive. The larger the sample size, the number of names should not just skyrocket off of it, because you should more likely be running into other people that have a similar last name.
Yeah.
Well,
Mr. Penn, let me ask you a quick question. Can you jump to your conclusion, because I've got one more witness, and
sure.
I've got to.
Here's the conclusion. Okay. right now, you have a situation where the number of people with unique first names and the number of people with unique last names is so out of kilter that the only explanation could be that these are fake people. So what I wrote up, and I'll read it out, and then and this should hopefully sum it up depending on how much time you have, is Georgia's complete mismatch and over the number of unique instances of first names, the overabundance of unique instances of last name, and the number of people in the first name category that kind of skews it, the last name category that skews it. When you compare that to Pennsylvania, it just so happens I did Pennsylvania first, and the results in Georgia are far worse than Pennsylvania. So this is what I wrote. Folks, this is how Georgia and Pennsylvania are intertwined, because a very powerful calculating domestic and or foreign actor ran an optimizer between these two states as though there were two stocks in a portfolio and calculated which voters were disposable. So when I took the top 1,000 names in Pennsylvania, you'll find that there's 440,000 last names. From what's based on what I just said with the national database. I did the same thing with Georgia. And I did this before I got called to do this testimony, by the way. So I already wrote this up about, I think, 6 days ago. With over 2 million people between these two data sets, the differential between how much Georgia is overstating how many people should be in the sample size is offsetting the shortage of people in Pennsylvania. So it's literally, there's a shortage of 440,000 people that should exist in Pennsylvania, and there's an overage of 428,000 people in Georgia. So literally less than 12,000, 0.6% on over 2 million records. And it gets even better than that. When you run the correlation between the last names in Pennsylvania and the same last names in Georgia, the same ones, like literally looking at Smiths, looking at Williams, et cetera, you have a negative 42% correlation. And I think the reason it isn't higher is there's some people with last names that didn't make the top 1,000 names in Georgia. But if you adjusted for that, I'm sure the correlation would shoot up. There is no doubt in my mind that based on the evidence, Stacey Abrams, if she was involved with this, because she says she's taking credit for this election, she needs to be arrested for probable cause. Your Secretary of State should be arrested for probable cause. Anybody can pull this data back down for the state of Georgia and run the analysis themselves. I will tweet exactly how to do it. You can set it up in Excel. If you have a computer with Excel, I will show you the instructions. You can do these counts yourself, and you can see for yourself that it makes no sense that basically 1 out of every 2 people in Fulton that have a particular name, that 1 out of every 2 that you have is only one other person. There's no other person in Fulton when you run into somebody that has that name. It makes absolutely no sense. It's just mind-boggling that they were that lazy in creating this fraud. That's the only reason why I was able to catch this. I think that they were sloppy. The data is there, and I pulled up one last thing I want to mention. So I wanted to drill down and pull into one person's name.
Actually, I have about to run out of time, and I've got one more person that's been on hold.
Okay, can I give like 60 seconds? Can I just get 60 seconds, please?
30 seconds.
So, okay, Williams. There's 2 years. Williams in Fulton County, age 25, 26, and age 28 to 29, somewhere in there. All of a sudden, there's 160 of them that showed up, and there's 205 of them that showed up at 29. All the other ages around them were only one person, both directions. But those 2 age groups, a huge pocket showed up. I looked at those people, and would you believe that the first names of those people that just randomly showed up with the last names Williams, which I said is overstated by at least 2 times what it should be based on national statistics, was 45%. 45% of 300 plus people had a unique name from a subgroup of that name. And the same analysis applies on all these other last names as well. It proves my point that these people were manufactured thrown back in time and their identities are false. And we need the feds and the Justice Department to investigate this. I copy people on Twitter with the Justice Department, and I hope Ezra Cohen hears this message and the President of the United States hears this message. Arrests need to be made. This is absolutely disgusting and outrageous.
Thank you, Mr. Pitton, for your testimony.
Anybody could prove it. I could show them how to prove it in an afternoon. You don't need 3 days.
Okay.
I'll show you in 2 hours.
We've got to go.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, now we'll go to Linda McLaughlin.